Hey guys, so welcome to today's tutorial. Today we'll be learning how to create different button animations. So I'm going to start by showing you the button animations one after the other. So we have the first, which is this, where once you hover on it, you can see that the the icon frame actually spread throughout the button. And then we have this smooth transition flow. Next we have this. You can see that black line that is actually going through the button. Then we have this, and we have this. Alright, so let's dive into the tutorial. So firstly, we're going to start from the bottom to the top, and I will have this by the side. So we're going to start with this. Let me duplicate this, and as you can see, and let me detach it. No, let me create from start rather. Sorry. So I have my text, browse, template. So I'll change it to white. Alright, so next thing I'll give it a stack, and I'll set it to fit. I'll bring it to the middle. Alright. And I'll give it another stack again. I'll set it to fit, and I'll bring it over to the middle once again. So on the outer stack, we have the inner stack, we have the outer stack. On the outer stack, I will name this outer stack. And I'll name this inner. Alright, on the outer stack, I'll give it some padding. I'll give it top padding of 10. I'll give it right 15. I'll give it left bottom 10. I'll give this. No, I'll give it 25. 25. I'll set my radius. I believe everyone should know how to click the button, and I'll add a fill. Alright, so the next thing you want to do actually is you want to go back to your inner frame or your inner stack and duplicate the text inside of it. Once I duplicate it, I will set the direction to vertical, and I will set my inner stack to fixed, not width, height. So now I will drag it to maybe height of 25. 24 is good, and I'll set the distribute to start. Let me give this gap of 0, and 17 is okay. 18. Yeah. So don't forget, I set the direction to the direction for the inner to vertical, and I set the width to fit and the height to fixed. Next thing, I want to create my button. I will create a component for it. I will name it button 1, and this is very easy actually. So next thing I'll do, I'll create a hover state for it. I'll click on the button, hover, and I will just come to the inner stack, and I'll change the distribute to end, and that's it. If we view this, you can see we have animation, smooth and nice. So that's it. So we'll move to the next one. which is this email me, and this should be one of the easiest. So the next first thing we want to do, we want to write our text. We'll write the text, email me. We change the color to white. We'll bring in our icon. Let me use hero icon, and I'll check for arrow. So I'll pick my arrow. I'll change the color to white, and I'll put the arrow and the email me in one frame. I'll set it to fit content, and I'll bring it to the center. Alright, so next now to want to add some padding. I'll give it padding of 10, 20, 10, 20, and I'll give it a border, and the radius, I'll just set the radius to 35, and this will be the border FFF. Then we'll have it at 50, and we're good to go. Next thing, I want to create a component, and I'll make this a component. Button 2, and I'll create. So I will add a hover state, and the only thing I need to do on this hover state actually is to have the color, the white color, changed to black. 0, 0, 0. I'll remove the border, and I'll add a fill of white. I don't know why my text and button didn't change though. And I'll set my what's it called, my icon. Alright, so I'll come to my icon path on the hover, and I'll add the transform to it. I'll add rotate, and I'll give it, let me say 45. No, that's downward. 90. Alright, minus 45. Alright, that's good. Or should I give it 35? That's perfect. Alright, so if I was to preview this, you can see that I have my nice smooth animation. Alright, so we'll move to the next button, which is this. If I was to preview this, you can see that we have like this kind of stuff going. We have this kind of stuff like going through the button. So this is very easy to make. The first thing you want to do is actually, let me bring this. Let me use this actually, and I'll detach instance, meaning I've removed this from the component. So what I need to do is that I need a frame. First of all, I will just include the frame inside this my stack. I'll draw the frame. I'll put it inside of my stack. And I'll bring this my frame inside my button, and I will set the color to black. I will rotate it a bit, and I will set this to absolute. I can reduce the width, and I'll set this to minus 10, meaning it should go to the left. Like I shouldn't see it here. Alright. So the next now to do is to set this my frame To make this my frame a component, I'll name this button 3. I'll create, and what we'll do is that on this frame I'll set a hover. I'll set a hover to this variant, and I will click on that frame that we added and give it a minus 20. So what it actually did is that it moved it from the left to the right. So if I was to preview this now, you can see that once I hover on it, we have this smooth transition effect. Yeah, so that's it, and we'll move to the next. So the next one we have on our list actually is this, where it has a smooth transition when you hover on it. Let me show you guys. Sorry, preview once more. Yeah, this. So this is actually not that hard to make. I think I will use this and I will duplicate it, after which I will discharge the instance. Alright, so the next thing now to do here is that since I have everything in place, I can just change this to contact me, contact us, and I will make this, or no, I will include the frame to it. And I'll set this tilt to absolute, and I'll set this to -2. Okay, still showing. I will bring it here, -2. Yeah, I think that's good. And one thing you have to put in place is that you want to make sure that the height of this is actually more than the height of this. So the next thing I want to do here is to make this my button a component. I'll name this button 4. And I'll create a hover state for this. And on my hover state, I want to set all my colors, which is white. I want to set it to black, and I want to remove my border from it. And the next thing, I'll come to this my frame, and I will expand it. I will increase the width, to cover the whole button. And I think this should be white. Yeah, it's white. So I don't know why this is black. Okay, I changed the color. And next thing is I will set the Z index to be 0. That means it should be at the back of everything. So let's preview this and see how it looks. You can see that it actually covers, the animation is actually smooth. So if you want, on this hover, you can actually reduce the speed. I'll remove the bands, I'll increase this time. And if I was to preview this again, you can see we have this smooth animation, no bounce, and it's just smooth. Yeah, so that's it. And we'll come to our final destination, which is this. And how this works is that if I was to hover on this, you can see that it's kind of expand to all other, to fill the remaining space in the bottom. Alright, let's see how to create this. So the first thing I want to do is I think I will use this button. It works fine. And I'll detach the instance once again. Alright, let me button again. Yeah. and I will want to delete that my frame that I have inside of that. And I think, do I want to, yeah, should I, yeah, okay, I'll give it a fill, and I'll give it 10%, and I'll remove the border. And on this my icon pack, I will give it a stack. And if you're wondering how I give it a stack with that is showing, I actually click on Shift plus A. This is a quick um, shortcut which can use to add stack to any frame or element on your framer design. Or you can just right click and add the stack. And I'll set this to fit content, and I'll set this to fit as well. And I'll give it padding. It should have a padding, yes, of course, 5. And I want to set a fill on it, and a radius. And on my icon itself, I want to set this to black. I think I'll use this a bit and increase the stack. I can give this a space. No. I'll come down here, the right. I'll reduce this, and I'll give this gap. Yeah, I'll set this. I'll add the transform to this. Add a rotate and -45. It's good. Alright, so next thing I want to do actually is to make this a component. Create component. This will be my button 5. Alright guys, so you want to wrap your arrow in a frame, in a stack rather, and we'll set this stack. We'll bring out the arrow from the stack, and we'll set the stack to absolute. We'll give it a fill of white and a Z index of I think 0. Then we'll set the stack to overflow, for the overflow to be visible. And we'll have a spring, I think here. Yeah. So on the stack here, let me name this white. We'll set the radius to, I think I'll just give it 999 radius. And what again? We're going to give it a transition. I will increase this for the time to be 8 seconds. And next thing, we'll give it a hover state. We'll change the text to black. That's the first thing that we want to do. Change the text to black, and we'll come to the white frame, and we'll give it a transform scale. On hover, it should scale to 10, and then on hover, the arrow should actually rotate 0. Yeah, so let's view this. Oh, you can see that it actually works, but the frame doesn't cover the whole button. So the next thing we want to do actually is come to this as stack, and I see the overflow is set to visible. Yeah, so this overflow visible. Okay. We'll come to this and we'll set it to fixed. Okay, so I see the problem. So the issue is that the frame was set to fit, and we have to go back. Yeah, I went back a bit. So the next thing I want to do is to come to this and set this to fixed and give it 0 0 0 0. I'll pin it 0 on all the angles. So I'll come back to my hover, I'll set the text to black, and I'll come back to the frame and I'll give it a transform, scale 10, and for the arrow I'll give it um 0, and I'll give the text a z index of 1. 1 will be okay. Yeah, so let's preview this and let's see what we have. You can see we have this nice effect that is going on, and I think that's all for today's tutorial. So thank you very much for watching and see you on the next video. Bye.